Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is episode 5 of our Transport Fever 2 playthrough. If you guys are new to the channel, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, check out the other videos in the series. And if you like what you see, let me know. Let me know what I can improve on in the comments. That'd be great. So just getting into this episode, we're taking a look here at that passenger line that we put in at the end of last episode that's running between Chatham and Stourbridge. It's running pretty well. It is losing us money, and at least it was. I think it depends on kind of when it's getting paid and when the expenses come in. But if we just if we look at the frequency on the line, we can see that it is pretty abysmal. 18 minutes. That's pretty terrible. But you can actually see that there is a lot of traffic that wants to go on this line. So 29 passengers at Stourbridge, 47 here that want to go up to Chatham. So this train has a capacity of 42. Is not going to be able to clear that. You can see it already has a full train. And then if we come up here to Chatham, 16 that want to go on that end going down there. So I think first what we're going to do is we're going to get another train on that line. I'm just going to go ahead and speed up the time so that we get... I'm gonna explain what we're going to do in the episode and wait for this train to get down to this end so that we can kind of balance out the spacing on the line here. I'll actually just go ahead. I'll just put that on the line now. It'll be fine. We're going to have so many trains on this line later on that it's it'll work itself out. But we are going to go ahead and get a couple more passenger cars. I think we were using, yeah, these ones. So I'll just add one more onto each of those just to get a bit more capacity. The BR-75 has plenty of power to get these up to speed, and you can see 46 on this platform now, so this will just be able to clear it. So, looking at the map today, things that we want to do. I want to extend these passenger rail lines. So I want to extend the Bodmin line, maybe up to Southall. I don't know if I want to make that bridge. But I definitely want to branch off from Bradley Stoke and go up here to Ulverston and over to Sutton, and then take this Stourbridge line up to Tetford and then up to Reepham to try and get these cities connected. For freight also, I want to take this oil sand up to this oil sand fuel refinery, and then take the sand and the oil up here to Colchester to sell that oil, and then bring the sand into this construction materials line. And then we'll need to figure out what we want to feed with that construction material. We have a couple options. Ulverston here needs construction material. Sutton here needs construction material. I'm thinking we're going to double this construction material with Hornsey, just because it's so close. It's such an easy get. So those are kind of the things that we're looking at here. And if we go back on this line now, we've cut that frequency in half by adding another train on. So that should help. We'll see how well it copes with the passenger numbers. But you can actually see this train just left for Chatham with a full load. And there is still a huge queue that wants to go down to Chatham, so I'm going to add another train onto that line. Just to try and get that frequency up and get those stations to clear. So, this fuel delivery, you can see, is not keeping up the vehicles that are on this line. So we have 8 on there. I'll go ahead, I'll add 2 more. And then I also noticed that this fuel delivery is not keeping up either. So I'll add 2 more onto this line as well. Another thing that I was finding interesting is Chatham has a bus route running through here. If we can find it. So it's buses. And Chatham actually might be a good candidate for tram. Because some of these stops, 67 people here, 34, 20, 11, some of these stops have huge numbers. So this actually might be a really nice opportunity to run a tram route. I wish I had roads that they couldn't build on. But for now, I'm just going to use dirt roads, and then I will clean it up later on. So we'll go ahead, we'll pause the game real quick, because this is just going to mess with the line. So let's see, can I get a really nice curve coming into here? That actually looks pretty nice. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to use the tram track tool and add tram tracks onto this route. And then we'll get rid of the buses and we'll add in trams. Now, some of our tram routes, if you remember, are really struggling to make money. And part of the reason for that is that I put them in preemptively. I put them onto roads that just didn't have demand for it. I don't know if I can... It would function completely fine with the dirt roads. But I'm just going to go ahead and upgrade these just because I think it looks kind of ridiculous to have tram tracks on a dirt road. I'll leave that little corner. It'll be fine. So now our bus route is doing exactly what we want. But I'm going to go into here and I'm going to sell these vehicles. So now there's no buses on the route. We'll need to put in a tram depot. If we come in here and look at kind of where our industry is, this is our industrial area, which is really good because it means that we can go ahead and put one of these tram depots in right here, right in this corner. And now we can go in and buy a bunch of trams. And that just cost me a lot of money to do. How much is it going to cost for 6 of these? 7. 1.7. We're just going to wait a sec for that money to catch up. And it should catch up. We're making a pretty good amount of money now. This is going to be a light blue, high maintenance, and we'll put these on this line here. Just because these have a much higher capacity than those buses. Yeah. I think we were using these Dalmers, or we were using these Gaggenau's, 8 or 11, either way. These trams have a capacity of 21, so this should actually run much better. And these trams should have the ability to clear some of these stations a lot more efficiently. And that tram line actually will probably make money, as opposed to some of our others. So, I'm thinking first up, we'll get this oil sand fuel line running. So we're going to need a freight station heading generally in the direction of Watford to get this oil sand up and running. So I'll get a nice dirt road just to line this up. Watford is where we're going. And I would like to get a nice curve on there. So now if we go in and we put in... This could honestly probably be a terminus station, but there is potential that we would want to tack on other lines to this station, so I'll put a through station. 240 meters, one platform is fine for now. That looks nice. And now if we come up here and we put in... I'm thinking that we'll curve out by the water and then come in here. So we kind of actually want this lined up almost the way that this is lined up now. So if we bring a road off... Just trying to think, because I don't want to crowd Watford too badly with rail. With, you know, cargo rail, because I'm not going to make those cargo trains. I'm not going to pay to improve the quality of those cargo trains. It's just not worth it. So now if I were to take this all the way up here, so it costs a lot. We can't afford it right now. But that actually looks pretty good. For a curve, we have a little bit of a tunnel running through this ground, but I think that that's pretty unavoidable. We've got a pretty nice ridge line right here. So we'll go ahead and we'll build that. That looks pretty good. All right, so now we're gonna want our passing track on this side. And we'll just go ahead and bring this. This is a hugely expensive track to build. Hugely expensive. And you can see it's doing the whole double... Yeah, so we're going to come in here and we're going to put this track in. Just as soon as we get the money for it. This is going to be a very expensive track to put in. And we are just hemorrhaging money. So this this track, actually, I've had an interesting thought. So the passing loop is going to be, I like to put it on the platform side. So it's going to be on the left side here. But then if we come up to this station, you'll see that that'll put it on the track side up here. One thing that we could do is flip it onto the other side. So right about halfway, right about where this tunnel comes out, we would just flip these tracks so that the passing loop is staying on the side of the platform. However, we're going to have another station here that's going to run up to this construction materials line. So I don't mind having a passing loop that terminates into a track. It's not the end of the world in this case. So we'll just go ahead and bring this up. And I'm actually just going to configure this for the second track right now with the other platform that we know that we're going to need. And then I'll just bring this track right in here just so that it looks a bit cleaner. And then we don't actually need a full X here. We would just need one track to cross back over. You can put the full X in if you want. but it's not necessary. So we'll get the second platform in here. And now we're going to need to take the oil sand, or the sand and the fuel up here. So the question is, do we want to do that on the same line? Or do we want to do parallel lines with two different trains? The reason I say that is that if we go into vehicles, and we need to find a train depot so I can show you. So, cargo. Sand and fuel is what we need to move. We know that fuel is moved in tank cars. So tank cars will move fuel, but they won't move sand. We need a gondola to move sand. So we can either do one train that's moving both fuel and oil sand and sand, or we could do two separate trains that are moving two separate products. Now, if we look here, 2 oil sand is going to make 1 fuel and 1 sand. So we could actually do a split train, a train that's half fuel, half sand, because there's going to be the same number of outputs on this platform. And if we drop the sand here, that's actually not a bad place to drop the oil as well, because Colchester is so close to this production facility that we could just truck it from here. So if that's the route that we want to go, we just need to put in a nice road lining up generally with where we want to go. That looks pretty good. Probably try and curve right inside in this and then hit this station. So if that's going to be our road, we could do 1 station for now. Want that lined up. I might back this road off just a little bit because doesn't need to be that long. And then if we bring this track right up here to this and you can see we're doing another tunnel, another big tunnel. We'll put this into the right side. And then same thing, this is gonna need to be double tracked. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do that right from the beginning. Make sure that our tunnel is doing what we want it to do. And then we'll branch that in. So now our tracks are set up. I think we still need to put the merge in here. And now we need to signal. So we want one way. We want an auto signal, 400 meters. So we'll put that in. It didn't take. Sometimes it doesn't, it gets a little confused. Probably because we have no money. that would generally confuse it. So we'll try this again. Put an auto signal. That worked. It brought us all the way down to this station. Pretty close to the merge. I like that. I'll probably add one in right before and after that merge. And then we'll add an auto signal going back. You can see we got it. And then we'll come in here, we'll turn auto signal off. And we'll add those in right after that merge. And now we're going to need to do the same thing here on this side. You can see I actually forgot to put the merge in on this side. So we'll add that in. Signals. Auto signal yes. Running from there all the way down here. That's pretty close. I'll probably put the auto signal in here. Turn auto signal off and then just adjust this one manually so that it's a bit closer to this merge, and then we'll probably put one right here right before the tunnel. So now our signaling's done. This is going to drop off fuel right here. So now we need to build a truck stop for them to pick up this fuel. We'll just go ahead and configure that. Like so, with the one-way entrance and the one-way exit. We'll add these roads in. And now we need to just add a truck stop down here where the fuel is. These couple fuels out here, that's kind of annoying that they want to go there. Just because it makes delivering to all these locations a little bit difficult. So I'll probably put the stop in here so they'll come up, they'll drop off here, and then they'll just loop back down and leave. So now if we put some lines in, we'll have a new line running from this fuel station up here. It does a nice loop. We'll make this a fuel color. And this will be a truck, Colchester, fuel. And at this loading station, we want them to wait for full load before they actually go into town. We'll need to build a vehicle depot. Let's see if we can sneak that in right here. Looks like we can. So we'll start off, we'll probably put maybe 3 on the line for now with high maintenance. We'll make it that orange color and we'll put them on that Colchester route. And now for a rail depot, I might just stick it right on the end, right here, for now. So if we come out just a little bit, and then put our rail depot right here, we can feed trains directly onto both of those lines. So I'm going to put the first train that's going to go on is going to be the oil sand fuel train, just so that it gets out ahead of the train that's waiting to deliver the oil sand. Now I need to put in the lines first, so we'll need this line in. Make this maybe a green color. We'll say wait for full for maybe 60 seconds. And this will be a rail, Watford to Colchester, fuel, and sand. And now we need another line running from Heathfield to Watford. So it's going to be a rail line, Heathfield to Watford, oil, sand. And here we'll say at Heathfield, we'll wait for full and we'll wait for 60 seconds. I think that would work. And now I just want to change that line because that gray is not particularly easy to see. So we'll make it like a bluish purple. So let's get these lines in. We've been using the G3 to start off our lines. We've got a bit more money now, so I think it's safer to upgrade to something a bit better. Let's think about the cargo first. So we're going to want to move fuel and sand. So if we start with maybe 6 of each. Has a top speed of 50 miles an hour. So let's make sure that we utilize that. So the PLM, the G3, these are out of date. Just because they can't hit that 50. The A3 is an awesome train. I just don't know if this is the time. I might go with the BR75 for now. I think that would be a good train. So we'll buy one of those. We'll make it that green color, and we will put it on that Watford Colchester line. So if we go in here, Watford Colchester, and we'll send that off. And now we're going to need another train. We'll probably go with the BR again, but this time it's just moving oil sand, so that's just Oh, I guess it's flat cars for oil sand. Interesting. All right, so what did we put? We put 10 cars on that last one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 10. It's going to cost us 5 million, 5.5 million. I do think that that's probably the way that we want to go, though, is getting a fairly high capacity train onto this line. And then once we get this established, this will start making us pretty good money, because it's going to be delivering. First off, freight lines always make you more money than passenger lines. It's just the way it is. So while we wait for the money to build up to be able to put that train on that line, let's go see how this tram line is doing. And you can see that it is clearing these stations. Clearing these stations really well. Even though, and this is actually now a Chatham tram to train. Even though it's losing us money, it's still doing really well clearing these stations. Way much better than the buses were doing. So I'm comfortable with that. You can see that we've got a big passenger buildup at some of these stations. But anyway, back to our... Where is it? Our oil sand train. And you can see we're just struggling to get some of this money. So I'll probably just borrow a little bit. Pause the game real quick so we don't lose it. And now we're going to have a BR-75, and we needed gondolas or flat cars to move the oil sand. So we're going to add in 10. So that's 5. 10 of them. And this is going to be that light blue color. And you should see that this immediately starts producing oil sand to be picked up, to be moved down to this facility. This is going to wait just a little bit to get filled up. I think I told it 60 seconds. And that's good just because this is the very first train coming on the line right at the beginning. But then by the time it gets back, there should be a pretty good amount of cargo queued up for it to move. So now once this gets up here, just pay down some of that money that we just borrowed. Once this gets up to here, we should start to see a pretty regular amount of oil sand and fuel and sand being moved. And you can see that this is starting to queue up a decent amount of oil sand. What is the capacity of this train? 80. So it shouldn't have a problem getting 80 onto that train every time. I would suspect that we would probably end up having to add another train onto that line at some point. So now, this construction materials facility. Where are we going to deliver these construction materials? We could probably take them up to Yeovil. We could probably even build a harbor here and cut a little away and put a harbor in here and ship it up to Yeovil. That's going to be super expensive just because of all of that landscaping. So that will probably be a later on plan. But for now, and you can see that this is starting to put fuel and sand onto this same line because we have a shared train. Did this train pick anything up? I think it just missed that drop off. And then let's see if there's 80 down here for this to pick up. Yeah, there's plenty. So we might actually want to go ahead and just increase this. Which line is it? This oil sand line. We might want to increase the capacity on this right away. Maybe 4 more cars. Just to get it a bit more capacity. So, another thing that we wanted to do is we wanted to set up a construction materials delivery from here to Hornsey. Now, the problem with that is that this construction materials plant is starved of stone. It's not getting enough stone. And the reason for that is that we're using trucks to move the stone. I think that we could probably get away with adding a few more trucks, but this is just not going to function at maximum capacity because trucks in the earlier game, you know, we're only in 1924, don't have the capacity to move enough freight to be able to fuel something like this on their own. Later in the game, if we replace those with higher capacity trucks, that will probably function. But just as of now, it's not functioning the way that we would want it to. So now, if we think about extending this passenger line up here to Tetford, that could definitely be something that we do. Another thing is there are a couple good places where bus routes would probably be a good idea. You know, we could establish a bus route from Wadhurst to Yeovil to add on to that bus network that we've already had established up here. We could add a bus route from Ulverston to Sutton. We could make a road connection with Bodmin and add one out to Ulverston. That's not a bad idea. Heathfield and Watford. That's a pretty good location for it. But I think for now, what we want to do is we want to branch off a line right here and run it up to Ulverston and then over to Sutton. So this is going to be a pretty big job. I'm thinking I'm going to keep the stations on the left of Ulverston and Sutton as we're looking at them right now. I think that would be the best place for it. And you can actually see Ulverston, or Sutton has this kind of weird road layout right now that actually could be a good loop for a little bus route. The stations are going to be very close together, so they're going to serve similar areas. What I could do to fix that is actually run them up onto this road and then down onto this road. But for now, I think that that's actually pretty good. So all we need to do is figure out where we want this station to be. So if we carry this road out just a little bit further, and then maybe bring a road down like this to line that station up, and this is going to be an extremely expensive amount of track that we're going to lay, because you can see that it is going to go directly through this mountain, but that is what it is. So if we put a passenger rail line, 240 meters, we'll do 2 platforms. And we add that in. So now that's going to run up here to Ulverston. And now we want a stop that will go over to Bradley Stoke and then also curve back to Sutton. So somewhere right here, I think, is where we want to be. Ulverston does not have a huge road layout sprawling yet, just because the city's not served with any goods that it needs. So we're going to have to build that in a little bit. I think that this is a pretty good block. So if that's a good block, and we want our station here, how do we want to make this roadway layout? I'm thinking we'll delete this back, and if we put in a road there, we should be able to curve off. That looks pretty good. And now we will just curve a road down to connect in here and connect in here. And then we can loop around that little road, and we're just going to have this odd block that I think makes, you know, some of these cities a little bit more interesting. I like that the cities sprawl. I think it gives a ton of character to some of these cities. So we'll start off by putting in our bus route. So we'll need to stop here. And this is a really small city, so we can probably get away with four stops for now. If we look at where that one is, maybe here. And if we just go ahead and add in a new line. And this is going to be buses. Obviously, this city does not have the need for a tram. So if we make this a nice light blue, and this is going to be our Ulverston bus route. So it's going to be a bus, Ulverston, bus to train. And now we just need a road depot in here somewhere. This is our industrial area up here. I might go ahead and put it in kind of right here. And now let's get a couple buses on this route. We really don't need a lot. Maybe 3 to start with a high maintenance level. And now if we go ahead and put a bus route in here, and we just got some other trains, the Flying Scotsman, that is an awesome, awesome train early in the game. So now we're going to put a bus route here. Maybe one here, one here. I think that's a pretty good layout. Keeps defaulting to this gray color. We'll make that kind of this reddish color. And that's doing exactly what we want. So this is going to be our Sutton bus route. So Sutton, bus to train. And now we're going to need a road depot in Sutton. So you can see we've got industry over here. So I might just try and squeeze that in right up here. And if we get, again, not a ton, this is a little bit bigger, so maybe four buses with a high maintenance level onto this route. And now let's go ahead and get our tracks laid. And you can see we've got a ton of money now, so this shouldn't be an issue getting these tracks laid. And let's see what it wants to do if we just drag this all the way up here. Pretty gradual, a nice tunnel. I like that. And the reason that I want to keep these as gradual as I can is that later in the game, when we upgrade these to high-speed track, which you can actually see we've already got, we want the speeds to be able to reach the maximum of that high-speed track. And now we'll need to do a quick X here. We will need to auto signal down this line for 400 meters. And you can see that that brings us right up to this station, which is great. And now we need to connect in again up here. And I actually haven't expanded the station yet. So if we configure this, we're going to need another couple sets of tracks, and then another passenger platform. And we'll just go ahead and we'll add in some of this, you know, window dressing for these platforms. Not entirely necessary, but just makes it look nicer. And now we'll take the inside track here, and we'll go up here. And you can see this is a nice gradual curve, which will be great for speeds. And now we'll need a cross here. And now we will need to auto signal down this track. And we'll see where it brings us. Brings us right before this road. That's nice. And then I'll probably just put one in right before this station. So now we need to set up a new passenger line. So we'll go from Bradley Stoke up here to Ulverston. It doesn't like it for some reason. And that fixed it. Right, because it couldn't switch back over. And after Sutton, it needs to go back to Ulverston. And we will make this... That's a red line, so we'll make this maybe a purple line. And this line is going to be a rail line from Bradley Stoke down to Sutton. And now we need to figure out how we want to get trains onto this route. So, there are a couple places that we could put a rail depot. I'm probably going to put it in right here. So if we branch off, come to about right here, spin this around, put that in right there. It's near a road, so it has road access. That's really not necessary. Some signals right before and after that merge. And now we can go ahead and get a couple trains onto this route. So for passengers, so we've got the Donnerbusch, which goes 62 miles an hour. And you can see we've now got this Flying Scotsman, which goes 75. And this train is a beast. But I'll probably just go with the BR-75s for now. They're really good. They're really good trains. The BR-75 does max out at 65 miles an hour. That's the only drawback, is that we're not getting, or 56 miles an hour rather, is that we're not getting the full speed that these cars could go. I'm fine with that for now, just because these cars, or these lines are not popular enough to warrant, you know, super high speed, expensive trains. And this is going to be a purple, I think is what we said. So we'll get that onto this line, and then we'll probably add another one on in a few minutes once that spreads out a little bit. Now you can see we are completely maxed out on oil sand. We've got a train coming back. How are we doing on fuel and sand? The train that's moving the fuel and sand seems to be doing a pretty good job. It's got a pretty good amount of both, but I would suspect that this is probably being close to starved of oil sand by the time that train comes back. We also need to find a way to deliver some of these bricks. So we do have a lot of money now. I think this might be a next episode thing. We'll add in a shipping line between these two with a, you know, cutout harbor in here and a little cutout harbor here. But if we go back onto this line and try and find where our train went, so you can see he's all the way up there, so we'll go ahead and we'll add another train on, make sure they've got high maintenance. And now on these lines, it might be time to upgrade these trains. So if we go on to this and we edit these, you can see that we've still got these G3s on here. The G3s are good trains, but they are just not what we want. And I'm actually probably going to just replace these because I think we're using these Bavarian passenger cars. So I'm just going to go ahead and replace all 5 of these trains with BR-75s. It's going to cost $26 million. All right, this will probably be a later on a later on plan. And I'm interested to see how some of these tram lines are doing. So you can see that the Bradley and Bodeman trams are just getting crushed with money because we're just not hitting the capacity. We could replace them with buses. I don't necessarily mind it. This Chatham tram is not doing nearly as bad because its capacity is much better. So what I might do, I think I'm just going to leave these lines. I like the trams personally. You know, it's personal choice, really. Some of these bus routes are screaming for a higher capacity bus, which we just don't have right now. Some of these train routes on our new line are actually, there are quite a few people waiting for these trains. I mean, how many you got? 22? That's not bad. Oh, but what we were doing down here is we were going to add another oil sand train onto this line because this guy's just not capable of moving all this oil sand. So we could do one of two things. So if we go in here, we've got 240 meter platform. So if we bring him up to 240 meters on the dot, that'll be good. And then if we go into here and we had a BR-75 on the line, $240, and it's that light purplish color. And now we'll just kind of wait for him to get a little bit further away, and then we'll add this guy on, just so that they're a little bit spread out. And this will be good. This will start to get a huge amount of oil sand coming up here. And yeah, you can see, completely starved of oil sand by the time these trains are, you know, probably not even halfway back yet. This guy got a completely full load, and he's going to take off over there. So this is pretty good. We've gotten a couple really good lines set up. Let's go ahead and just establish a couple small bus routes, just to get a couple of these cities to wake up a little bit. So we're going to have a bus that comes in here, maybe drops here, put a waypoint, because I suspect he won't want to waypoint, or he won't want to loop back. And then the bus is going to come down this street, maybe take a right here, and drop off here. And then we'll waypoint him back out there. So now if we add a new line from Tow Law past this waypoint up to this station, and we didn't even need this waypoint. And we'll make this, maybe this dark, I really like that color. So this is going to be a bus from Tow Law to North Road bus. And now we're going to need a bus depot or a vehicle depot somewhere on here. So I might tuck it in up here. Maybe right there. And now if we go ahead and get some of these buses on, so these have 22. So these have a higher capacity of 11. They go 22 miles an hour. These have a capacity of 8, but they go 25. You know, I could use the faster buses because they're going in between. I'll probably just go ahead and do that, honestly. High maintenance. There's not going to be a ton of passengers on this line to start, just because these cities haven't been woken up at all. We could probably put in one from Reepham to Heathfield. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Sutton to Heathfield would probably be a pretty good bus candidate for buses. So if we look at where our buses are now, if they came in, how could we get them to drop here? So if they came in and went down this street and looped back up through, I actually just saw we have the new roads, which means I can upgrade this craziness with a better road. I'll probably just delete that part. And then we'll make this maybe that road. Probably make this that road as well. Like that. And that looks better. It's got a higher speed capacity, and Chatham is probably one of the cities that we're going to want to start to look at adding in these wider streets with bus lanes. And this is going to be extraordinarily expensive to do. Like, just to go through here and do that one street, that was obscenely expensive. We're gonna have to move this. And now I just want to go back in and put my tram depot back in. And it will just fit. And you can see whenever you have to put these roads in, you have to, 3 buildings will be removed, 4 will be moved. It's gonna cost you just a ton of money. But it's so worth it for the traffic flow down the line. The road that I really don't want to replace right now is probably this one. It'll probably have to be done at some point, but you see that this gives us bus routes, which the trams and the trucks will take. Trams and passenger and freight vehicles will take bus routes. So now if we come back in here to our line, and we want to see how this is delivering, you want to try and keep it on bus routes, bus lanes, for as long as you can. So this is not bad. This is not a bad drop-off. And going through and updating some of these roads is definitely going to be something that we're going to have to do. Like you can see Northam. Northam is probably another good candidate for it. Oh, see, I can't upgrade that one. Alright, we're gonna pause the game real quick because I'm gonna break some lines here. Because I really want to get that in here. So now if we put our bus routes back, it just fixed itself. The drive. Yep. And now we can let the game go again. I really just wanted to get this road with bus lanes into that location. And now we'll go ahead and add bus lanes on this entire circulating route. And then this is also a good candidate for, you know, an updated road. So we'll come right down the center here, and you can see just this one small piece is going to be 1.3 million. But it'll help. And you can see this bus to train. See, again, this is probably another place where trams would be useful. But for now, I'll probably just go ahead and add another couple buses onto the line. Just to try and get this to clear a little bit better. And if we go into our lines now, what lines are losing us the most money? The Chatham to Bodmin passenger route is still losing us a little bit of money. It's not bad. The Chatham to Starbridge route is making us a lot of money, probably because it's moving people so far. So we might want to add another train onto this line. Let's see what... That's Chatham to Bodeman. Where's the other train? Oh, they're all the way up there. So yeah, once this guy clears out a little bit, I'll probably add another train onto this line. So maybe once he gets to the end of the tunnel, we'll go ahead and add another one on. Just to, again, get that frequency up. We have a ton of passengers here wanting the Northam to Bradley bus. That's interesting. Not surprising, though, because it's a much faster route than taking the train over to Chatham and then switching trains onto that Chatham-Bodeman line. But this will probably wrap up this video. We'll come over here, see how our oil sand route is doing. Yeah, and you can see that adding that extra supply of oil sand is really helping this. And for some reason, we're getting a huge buildup of sand and not nearly as big of a buildup of oil. That's very interesting, because this is supposed to be 1-to-1, and we have the same cargo capacity on this line. Oh, we don't. Interesting. Okay, so if we go into here, these have a capacity of 9. Oh, and these only have a capacity of 8. So what if we do that? What is that? Does that even us out a little bit better? Yeah. Okay, so we'll have to play with this line just to see what the best balance is. But yeah, I think this is going well. You can see that this guy is just trundling along, trying to do his best. 31 miles an hour. But anyway, all right, guys. Thank you very much. This is going to wrap up episode 5. If you guys liked it, feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel, check out other videos in the series, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good day.